Willkommen beim Broadleaf Junkie. Lehnt euch zurück, genießt eine gute Zigarre und habt Spaß. Take it or leave it. Er hat wahnsinnig viel zu erzählen, nimmt kein Blatt vom Mund, kümmert sich um nichts und macht dennoch keine Kompromisse. Es war wahnsinnig informativ und spaßig, mich mit Saka zu unterhalten, und es war ein Kampf, überhaupt zu Wort zu kommen.
Well, just let's start with one obvious question.
Okay.
Who are you and why are you here this year again?
Again, yeah. My name is Steve Saka. I'm from Dunbarton Tobacco Trust. We are a small family company in the United States, and we basically are the manufacturers and importers, with our factory partners, of course, of a wide variety of cigars that are primarily sold in the U.S. market. We're partnered with Hoyt Nicaragua, and they are one of the factory partners that we work with. The other one is Nicaraguan American, and they wanted to be able to offer their international customers our portfolio, or at least a limited amount of our portfolio. And as a result, I said, sure, if you want to sell it, sell it. As long as I get the cigars I need for the U.S., which is my primary market, I'm okay. And so I started coming maybe 5 years ago to kiss babies and shake hands. And the problem is, I don't know if anyone's been to Dortmund, but at this trade show, most of the booths are like really small, and most of them have chairs that feel like you're getting butt fucked when you sit in them.
All right.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you've been around this show. So I just got tired of standing for 3 straight days. So last year, we decided to just put up this really simple, low-budget ghetto booth. So,
But nice booth.
nah, it's not nice. But we have a place. We have a place to sit. I have a place to take some nips of some whiskey, and so at least if I got to be here for 3 days, I can at least be comfortable when I talk to nice people like yourself. So,
What brought you first into the cigar industry, into this business?
it really was not intentional. I was just I got infatuated with cigars while I was in the Navy. I was enlisted in the service, so from 83 to 89, and but I was broke, so I smoked a lot of really cheap cigars, like really cheap.
Know that feeling?
Yeah, it's like everybody assumes when you do well in life that you always did well in life, but that's not the case. I grew up as East Texas trailer trash poor, and enlisted in the service when I was 17. When my wife and I first got married at 19, we were on government assistance, even though I was in the military. The military didn't even pay enough for you to actually eat and feed your children at that time. But when I got out of the service, I got my first normal job, and then I started a company that I was really blessed to sell, and it kind of made me retirement okay. And I pretty much spent from 1993 through 1999 just living out all my cigar geek fantasies.
All right.
Going to the Dominican Republic, going to Nicaragua, going to Honduras. And I don't mean visiting for 3-4 days. I mean going for 30 days, right? Actually, going and saying, hey, can I work here for 2 weeks? Can I shadow you? Can I follow you around? And look, at that time, they were just enamored that some gringo would show up in Cofradía, Honduras, and actually want to see what they were doing, right? So they were very inviting. So, and I was very active online, and I ran with a few friends of mine. We did a cigar website called Cigar Nexus. So,
okay.
Yeah, and we were like the number one cigar-oriented website, and the only one. We were essentially bloggers, but it was before the term ever got invented. So I knew everybody, And I was such a sponge for information that one of the gentlemen I had met was a gentleman named Lou Rothman. At that time, Lou Rothman was the owner of a company called JR Cigars Santa Clara, which in some form or fashion made money on about 70% of the cigars sold in America.
Okay.
I mean, he was like literally he wasn't the 800-pound gorilla, he was the 8,000-pound gorilla. And because I knew everybody and I was so into all this stuff, and because I was I'm not a talented author, but I do like to write, and I have a very matter-of-fact, the way I'm talking is how I write.
All right.
And so he wanted me to write a book about cigars and tobacco, because the reality is there's some books out there that are decent, but so many books just have so much misinformation in them that just constantly gets parroted and parroted that it kind of becomes quasi-fact even though it's wrong. So he wanted me to write a book about cigars and tobacco, and so I went to meet with him, and we talked about the book for 10 minutes, and then we got in this debate about the best brand of hot dogs, and then it was the best muscle cars from the late 60s, and then it just kind of devolved into a Yankees Bo Sox baseball conversation. And after 2 hours, he just kind of looked at me and goes, "Why don't you come work for me?" Like, "What do you mean come work for you?" He goes, "Well, you like all this cigar stuff. You know everybody. You're one of the most knowledgeable people I know. And you got no commercial axe to grind. And, I'd like you to come work for me." And I'm like, "Lou, I'm not really interested in being in the cigar business because, no offense, but really very few people make any real money at it. It's a tough business. It's always been a tough business. I mean, people see the success stories, but they don't literally see the thousands of people that fail. And there are thousands of people that fail in our industry. It's really tough." And I said,
Also, it gets tougher.
"Oh, it's harder now than even then."
Yeah.
Oh yeah, now it's an unbelievably uphill battle because of regulation and taxes.
What can you do as a manufacturer or brand owner, or what could I do as a consumer?
As a
to
consumer, the
somehow
one
make
thing
this
you
easier?
look, I don't know how it works here in the EU, but I know in the United States, just contacting your representative, your congressman, your senators, and telling them how you feel, you don't have to give them some giant soliloquy. You don't have to give them a long letter detailing all your points, because that's not what they do. They just kind of mark little check marks. An aide marks a check mark on a piece of paper. Yeah, we got so many calls against it. We got so many calls for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just even that simple act of reaching out. Now, on our end, you have to become very politically active. You have to engage with lobbyists. You also have to become very litigious. You have to become very involved in fighting everything. So you have to lobby hard, and you have to fight in the courts very, very hard. I don't know how that works in the EU. I know you guys have an organization called EMCA, European Manufacturers Cigar Association. I think I have that term right. That's actively
Maybe, yeah.
trying to fight this fight, because you guys right now, you have all sorts of craziness. I mean, I don't know the particulars, but just Google Belgium to get a taste of where they're heading with this. So, all you can do is fight as hard as you can.
To fight as hard as you can, you will find a link below later.
Oh, well, there you go. Thank you. But in the end, it's an uphill battle. Look, we're in an industry, you have to understand that 90% of the people that smoke wishes they didn't. They're addicted to cigarettes, right? So it's not even like smokers are willing to defend their own rights. The people that are the premium cigar people, the people that smoke pipes, and the people that smoke high quality hand rolled cigarettes because they're actually really into their tobacco. But other than that, most smokers really almost wish they didn't smoke. So you have a very small constituency. So then you have to have arguments about health, and you have to have arguments about risk. You have to have arguments about freedom and adult and choice and all of these things. And those are difficult arguments to have. But I know if you don't have them, the governments will do what the governments do.
One single, I think, easy question this for. Would you say this is an addiction or a passion?
And cigars is definitely a passion. Look, I have smoked 8 to 10 cigars a day for over 30 years. Yet, with travel, I went about.
But do you?
I went about 2 days.
Do you have
no,
this? I need this
so
fix now.
I went about 2 days without having a cigar, right? So, no. Do I miss it? Do I wish? Oh, I can't wait till I have a cigar. Absolutely, but it's really funny. So last year, out of curiosity, I asked my doctor, "Hey, can you run a nicotine blood panel on me? Because I want to see what is my nicotine levels." And the way it works is there's a short term and a long term. And
Like
guess
with
what?
everything else
Right.
also,
so,
yeah.
So here I am. I'm a guy that's been smoking 8 to 10 cigars for over 30 years. Been smoking cigars steadily every day for over 40. It actually, the panel listed me as an occasional smoker.
You see?
That's what the blood work actually showed,
Yeah.
was that I was an occasional smoker, even at my consumption level. Now look, one of the things that we don't do as an industry is we don't tell people it's good for them.
No, of course
We
not.
don't. What we tell them is, listen, it's a choice, right?
Yeah.
It's like everything. It's the sour cream on your baked potato. It's your red meat on your grill. It's, your beer at the end of the day. I'm not encouraging people. I obviously don't smoke cigars in moderation by any stretch of the imagination. But I'm not the typical consumer. The average consumer in America smokes 2 to 3 cigars a week, right? The average, the hardcore guys, the guys that are like, they smoke 2 or 3 a day. Like the really right?
Yeah.
I'm a freak. I'm not normal. I'm at Winston Churchill, Sigmund Freud, Mark Twain kind of crazy numbers. But in the end, it's a decision that you have to make. I think it's as we get more health studies. I mean, even the FDA did a study recently. Even they determined that 2 cigars a day two handmade cigars a day had no impact on mortality.
The handmade part is crucial in this?
They studied the handmade.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they only did it in response to our litigation on the FDA regulation.
Yeah, okay.
And let me say, they didn't come up with a number 2 and say, 2 are fine and 3 are bad. They just studied 2. So they don't even know the answer.
Okay.
The American insurance industry for years, like Prudential, they basically considered anyone that smoked 5 handmade cigars a day or less as being a non-smoker for insurance purposes, for life insurance. Because they have the actuarial data. They know when people die. That's how they determine your rates. So there is something different about handmade cigars. And what I think it is, and again, I'm telling you, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist. I'm just relating the things that I have picked up out of reading the few studies that have been done. But one of the things that's significantly different about handmade cigars is how we ferment the tobaccos. We do it naturally. We don't heat treat them. And as a result, the tobacco has a different pH level, okay? pH in like other tobacco products that have been heat treated are acidic. But we're actually on the caustic side of the scale. That's the reason why when you inhale cigar smoke, you cough. It's your lungs reacting to it. Where when you inhale cigarette smoke, you can. Okay, you get used to it. And it's the difference because it's acidic when the tobacco is treated this way. It ends up caustic to pH when it's treated the other way. And guess what? It is all the acidic things that are always linked to cancer. And it's all the caustic alkaline things that are the things that they're saying actually help prevent cancer. Now, I'm not saying that cigars prevent cancer, okay, but there's actually no statistical data that actually links handmade cigars. There's been so few studies that just study handmade cigar consumers, right? Because we're such a small subset.
Yeah.
So, but there's definitely something about it, because you look at our industry. Stanford Newman lives into his 90s. Carlito Fuente Sr. lives into his late 80s. Orlando Jose Padron Sr. lives into his late 80s. Estela Padron, Frank Yanesa, John Oliva Sr., who's still alive. When you look at these people who smoke an unbelievable number of cigars, they seem to live a long life.
But they're also hardworking. Maybe?
Yeah,
Just because
when they
of
were younger men, but look, when they get to be 70, 75, they're not the same. Now, look, I'm fat. I'm not making it to 90. But I don't think it's going to be because of cigars. I think it's going to be because of what I like to shove in my face.
Do you want to live until?
I want to live forever. Come on.
Okay.
Yeah, let's be immortal. If we're gonna take a choice, I have the option. I'll be immortal and then decide to be not immortal.
That would be weird. What effort do you put? Let me rephrase that. How much passion do you put into blending your cigars? What does it mean to you?
Look, the pat answer is, oh, I'm so passionate, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. It's what everybody says. I think the proof is in the product. I think that one of the things that we say about our customers is that they're the most discerning and experienced smokers. I've smoked everything. When I say everything, literally everything. Habanos, I've smoked easily 9,000 to 10,000 Habanos. All right? I've smoked the back of the napkin calculation, I have smoked probably somewhere upwards of 115,000 cigars in my lifetime. Okay, the vast majority of cigars. Clipped, lit, tore apart, sampled. I'm well over 300,000 cigars doing that. I mean, I know what I like, and I know what I consider to be a very good cigar for me. So one of the very unique things about our company is I am the end-all, be-all. Nobody gets involved. Nobody gets to have an opinion. Nobody gets to try samples. Nobody. Period. The people in the factory don't. The people in the office don't. There's no meeting where I say, well, these are the three things that I think are the best. Which of the three do you think is the better? No. Everything that ends up in a box that has Dunbarton's name on it is because I did it, I chose it, I think it's right. Doesn't mean that it is. But what it does mean is that if your palate is in line with my palate, then you are probably going to really, really like our cigars. If your palate doesn't appreciate what I appreciate, you're probably not going to like any of our cigars, right?
So you don't have to smoke it and choose something else.
And luckily for consumers, there's thousands of options that are out there. So I can't say, I think that we make among the very best cigars in the world. Okay? And I think that our peers would agree with me.
I would agree with you.
But what you can't agree on is, do we make the best tasting cigars in the world? Because that is such a personal decision that only each individual person can make for themselves. Okay? Luckily, there's enough people that think we're doing a good job. So, yeah, am I incredibly passionate? I am, but I don't think the same way most people really employ it. I'm also very technical. I've been doing this so long. I really, one of the things that I think a lot of people that, particularly brand owners that like picking samples out of a Ziploc bag that the factories make for them and saying, oh, I like the one in bag D, but I wish it was a little stronger. They don't have any technical understanding of how the cigars are constructed or how the materials interact. So one of the key components when you're blending a good cigar is not just getting good flavor and getting good aroma, but also figuring out what ingredients complement each other, not for just those elements, but in the actual physical construction of the cigar, because how is it going to draw? How is it going to burn? People assume that that's just how they manufactured, assembled the tobacco together, but no. It's actually the ingredients that you choose to work with within a blend has a dramatic impact about how that cigar is going to ultimately draw and how that cigar is ultimately going to combust. So you have to have a technical understanding of the actual leaf and how it's going to interact with the other leaves and to get the desired result that you want. And that's something that most people don't have, particularly as a non-factory cigar maker. It's one thing when you're Papin Garcia and it's been your whole life and this is what you do. He's intimately familiar with it. It's entirely different when you're the gringo from the United States and you want to make the Don whatever because you have passion for the thing, you know what I mean? And this tastes fantastic. And guess what? It might taste fantastic, and it might work in these 80 cigars, 100 cigar samples that you made. But is this going to work 1,000 cigars, 10,000 cigars, 100,000 cigars down the road? And are you going to be able to get the materials that you need to make it consistent? And the other thing too is that, look, the inherent nature of handmade cigars is that they are inconsistent. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to take something that is handcrafted out of an organic material that is inherently inconsistent and make it a consistent experience for the consumer. So the idea that I make a blend and I buy this particular tobacco and we do it this way every time, you are not getting a consistent cigar out of that.
Yeah.
You are going to get cigars that are all over the map. Making cigars is not like a baking recipe that's a technical science. It's more like the chef that's like, I'm making my red sauce. But sometimes the tomatoes are a little sweeter. Sometimes they're a little more acidic. Sometimes they're a little less ripe. What do I do to make my red sauce, my Sunday gravy, taste the way my family expects my Sunday gravy to taste when it hits the table?
What
do I need to do? What salt do I have to add? What extra spice do I have to add? What do I have to take away? So all cigars, if you're actually doing what you're supposed to be doing, in my opinion, is you're actually always changing the blend a little. You're always tweaking the blend. And and people talk about from crop year to crop year. That's nonsense. It's literally bale to bale. It's leaf to leaf. You pick up this leaf. This leaf's a little thicker. The stem's a little bit more wiry. The body is a little more fleshy. Well, I'm supposed to put this in, but the way this feels in my hand, no. I'm going to put a little less in. I'm going to put a little. So you also not only have to have the blender understand this, but you also have to have the boncheros who are actually assembling the blends understand and have the flexibility to do those little micro adjustments and tweaks to achieve the consistent result. Because you as a consumer, you want to hear that we do things the same. But that's not really what you care about. What you care about is that every time you buy a box of whatever, Mi Querida Papa Sakas, is that you get that Mi Querida Papa Saka thing. And that's what makes brands like Padron and brands like Fuente Don Carlos so long-term successful, because those customers that buy those products, they know when they put their money down what they're going to get out of that box. And that's a very, very hard thing for a small brand to achieve. And it's one of the areas that I think we excel at. And it's one of the things that I think really separates us out.
When it comes to appreciation for all this work, what does mean more to you? The customer feedback you get, ratings or reviews, or something like this? What I just seen.
We won Best Boutique Brand, courtesy of Cigar Journal for Nicaragua. You know what? Actually, look, all those things are great. And look, everybody likes to be told they're doing a good job. It's rewarding. It's satisfying, right? But actually, the thing that actually moves me the most is when I know people, because I've been doing this for a long time. So I was a hardcore cigar geek back in the 90s, like hardcore. Like, whenever I see people are cigar crazy, I personally, in my walk-in humidor at home, I had 25 to 27,000 cigars as a consumer. So however geeky these people are, I was there, man. I was mainlining it, okay? I bet in your shoes. I'm your people, okay? So for me, the thing that I actually find the most satisfying is I know some people from back then who are still really, really passionate cigar smokers. And when they choose to smoke our brand, and when they choose to tell people about the brand, that's the best thing, because I know that these people have been smoking for 3+ decades, and they literally smoke 2-3 cigars every single day. So they've tried it all, they've seen it all, they've experienced it all, yet they've decided that we're worthy of space in their humidor. And not only are we worthy of space in their humidor, but it's something that they're willing to tell others and friends about. But it's great when the person that started smoking cigars 3 years ago loves our brand and talks about how great our brand is. but no offense to you, my friend, you just don't know jack shit yet. Your palate is going to change so much, okay, over the first... Look, I didn't really dial in my own palate for at least like 15 years before I really started, because oh, this is the best cigar I've ever had. And then a month later, oh, this is the most amazing cigar ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it takes time. So really, it's the fact that so many people that are those type of consumers choose Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust. That's the part that I really like. Because look, Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust, it's not a flex. I mean, it's not like smoking an Opus X or a Padron Anniversary or a limited whatever this and that. I mean, most consumers, they've never heard of our little podunky company, right? So it's really only like the hardcore people that are like, oh yeah, those Dunbarton cigars, those are pretty good. Have you had this? Have you had that? I mean, it's kind of the difference. And look, I'm trying to think of how to. Everybody knows what a Rolex is, right?
Of course.
But really, only watch people know what a Moser is. Right?
For instance, don't know what it is.
I'm wearing this watch that the average person goes, wow, that's a really nice watch. He's wearing a watch that watch people go, oh, that's a special watch. Let me see that. You know what I mean? So, and that's the part that I find the most rewarding. And that's why what I said earlier about the typical Dunbarton customer is actually the most experienced, the most discerning. They don't care about ratings. They don't care about rankings. They don't care about awards. They've seen them all. Everything gets a high rating. Everything eventually gets award. Everything eventually gets this or that. So in the end, they're at a point in their lives where they know, in their opinion, what's good or bad, and they don't care what anybody else says. They're the judge of their own things. Now, maybe something that gets rated well or blah, 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 maybe they'll go out of their way to try it, but it doesn't affect their opinion in any way whatsoever. So for me, that's actually the most rewarding, is when that customer goes, yeah, you know what, that whatever, Con or Sobra Mesa Brule Blue or Mi Querida Black Saka Con, those are really good cigars. That's actually what really satisfies me.
I think I would have never heard of you if it weren't for the Cigar Dojo. What are communities like that mean to you?
Well, look, that was what I started in. Look, I was the uber crazy cigar guy that was the only one, because we didn't have a way to connect. And then I got on dial-up AOL, and I found like 8 or 9 other people around the country like me. And then I got into Usenet and news groups, and I found that there was like another 100, 200 people that were like me scattered around the country. So I was right at the very beginning of those very first connections in cigars online. And the thing is, I mean, I have friendships that I formed back then that are lifelong friendships, and that's my phone.
Okay. Yeah. I wondered what's going on.
Sounds like a Star Trek communicator. It's the only thing I can hear when it's in my pocket. So no, it's essential. It's part of what makes this so much more enjoyable. Because look, it's kind of weird when you're the cigar crazy guy with 27,000 cigars. You know what I mean? You're kind of. But then when the internet has allowed us to kind of like get together, and you see it with everything. You see it with people that are into knitting. You see it with people that are into stamp collecting. You see it with people that are into bottle cap collections, right?
All right.
There's all of these. Everybody has their own little thing, and that's what the internet. Look, there's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad. But one of the good things about the internet and social media is it allowed people with like interests to have a way to communicate with other people of like interests, right? And so, no, it's greatly beneficial.
All right. So, well, to conclude this, is there anything you are actually working on that you are really excited about?
I'm excited about everything all the time. Everything's like a little kid. It's a pet project. So I'm always working. Again, you guys don't see it internationally unless you follow social media, but I'm like a League of Factory. I create so much new stuff all the time and I'd like to believe none of it sucks. Consumers ultimately determine, but I mean, I mean, just this year alone, Salida Red, Umbagok Bronzeback, Mi Querida Gorilla Gorda, New Canalam, Leche Burra, FSG release was just at the beginning of the year. I mean, Donderma, Battle Box. I got 10th anniversary Jubilee. I got a new version of Stillwell Holiday. I have projects always because that's the part that I love. I love being in the kitchen. That's the fun part. And this is one of the weird things, and this is another thing that's really very different about us. Look, sales are critical. We need them. Okay,
Yeah,
this isn't a hobby. I treat it as a business. I don't have to get rich doing this little family company. I was blessed being bought out 3 times previous, but also I'm not a rich moron that's just going to throw money at the wind. So I need it to be profitable, and also I want my people to be well paid. I want them to enjoy the fruits of the labor.
Yeah, of course.
So I run it as a business, but also I'm not very sales focused. We don't have brokers all over the place. Like, we don't actually ever ask anyone to ever buy our cigars. We don't ever go to a cigar store and say, would you please carry our cigars? They're really, really good. The only way a retailer ends up carrying our cigars is because they reach out to us or they visit us at the PCA's trade show or here at Dortmund, and they walk in, say, hey, I'm interested in cigars. Great, let me tell you what we got. So we're a very kind of, what is that? Build it and they will come kind of operation. And we're, and really, so we have a much, much different approach when it comes to that.
Let it speak for itself in the end.
Yeah, because in the end, everybody's doing that. My cigars are the best. They sell really well. You have to carry them. What do you think anybody says? So for us, it's much better that the retailer, because look, our cigars are a little more expensive. We make you buy a certain amount. If you want to have not an egregious amount, we don't do any sort of discounts or deals, right? When you come to the PCA trade show, there's no discount when you buy our stuff. The price is the price. It is what it is. This is what it costs to make it this way and to maintain it consistently. So we don't have any of the normal carrots that most people have. Even our swag, we don't use any cheap, most of our stuff is like custom made, special stuff. A lot of it's hand, the little statues, they're all hand painted, one by one. The mugs we use, they're all handmade in America. Crazy, cutter that's absurdly expensive. But the reality is, that's what it costs to make something like that, in the United States to that kind of quality and that grade. And we don't make any excuses about it. We don't try to convince people, oh, you have to. This is, no. Just like we don't try to convince the retailers, we don't try to convince the consumers. They're going to make up their own mind. And look, what am I going to say? I'm biased as fuck, right?
Yeah, it's your brand.
My brand. Yeah. We have a very different kind of approach than most of the other companies, and amazingly, we've been pretty successful despite ourselves. So that's been a blessing. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you very much.
No, put it on mine.
That was fun again.
I like to talk about myself.
Über den unten aufgeführten Link könnt ihr noch bis Ende des laufenden Monats vor der EU kommentieren und argumentieren, warum man Zigarren und Zigarillos von der kommenden erhöhten oder drastisch erhöhten Tabaksteuer ausnehmen könnte, sollte, müsste. Wenn ihr mehr von dem Shit wollt, folgt mir einfach, liked, teilt, kommentiert, wenn ihr wollt und genießt eine gute Zigarre.